Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, right in the middle of the week. Hope you're all having a fantastic week so far. I am. It's been a busy, hectic week. Put finishing touches on 2 books, Modern Poker Theory and I don't even know what the book's called. There's a book on mixed games by Dylan Lind coming out soon. I did a final little brief look through of that as my role as someone who works at D&B Poker. So that's been a lot of fun. Took a lot of effort, but no more books to deal with, at least for the very, very short term. Next, we'll be working on lots of projects for all of you. So that'll be fun. Caliente report, please. The Tijuana brothers are here. Welcome. Good morning, good morning. We have Sam Levitt here. Men, Sam Levitt single. If you want to hit her up, go for it. Oh, goodness. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Sam says, woot woot. Yes, that's right. Lots and lots of single men here. All right. What are we going to talk about today? Today's an Ask Me Anything. You all can ask me whatever you want to ask me about, because honestly, I woke up and I had lots of stuff to do, and I was either too lazy or too preoccupied to come up with any topic for today. As you see, I started to make a topic, and then I decided, I have 4 minutes to get this done, so we're not going to do it. So, we're going to figure this out as we go. As it says, nice sombrero a couple of days ago. Thank you. Sam Levitt, the one who I just mentioned to all of you, she's the one who set that up. So thanks to Sam for all of that. Let's see. Kevin said yesterday he had an emergency vet bill for $1,200. Oh man, I used to have some pets. One thing about pets, they are pricey every once in a while. And that is always unfortunate when that happens. My World Series Poker package has been very helpful. Good. In the World Series Poker package, I'm essentially showing you how I coach a guy named Blas who won $1.3 million on Party Poker a few months ago to get prepared for the World Series, as well as showing other courses I've done on the World Series in the past. We've discussed mindset and all sorts of things like that. Anyway, Blas has been going to play a few live tournaments. He's had a few little cashes. He just won another tournament yesterday online for about 6,000 euros. You know, not 1.3 million, but still. It was a 10 euro buy-in tournament, and I think he beat like 3,000 people or something silly. So that's fantastic for him. And I'm very, very happy about that. Vibe says, just won your World Series main event seat. Any tips for making day 2 plus? Well, you can make day 2 just by buying into day 2. That said, I play great. Also realize making day 2 is not really the goal. The goal is to get a good chip stack and have a chance to actually win the tournament. What's the World Series package? Go to jonathanlittlepoker.com. pokercoaching.com/WSOP bundle. I don't know if there's a sale going on currently. If you're interested in it, send us an email, support@pokercoaching.com. Let's see. To be clear, you're not going to be at Vegas June 26th to the 30th. That is correct. I will not be there then. I'm recommending All-American Days. What do I think about it? So All-American Days at the World Series of Poker is it's basically a food truck that's out behind the Rio. They serve good, healthy food. And essentially, you can either pay by the meal, like $25 a meal. They deliver it to your table. It's nice and convenient. Or you can pay something like $600 or $1,200 at some point, and then you get a discount. I don't know the exact deal. Really, you just go out to the booth and say, hey, what's the deal? And they'll tell you the deal. In my inner circle, number 16, I said I play the trumpet. Do I still play it? I am capable of playing it. It is in my bedroom at the moment. I have tried to play it, and I can still play. Highest note I could get to was a C, the high C. It's kind of disappointing. We used to go much higher. Not anymore, though. That's all okay, though. It's funny how you still remember that kind of stuff, though. We can still very, very, very vividly remember how to play almost every song. We know all the notes work. So it's nice. Dealing with different variants of 1, 2, and 2, 5 no limit, would I recommend a bankroll of 20 buy-ins? Go to jonathanlittlepoker.com/bankroll, and you will find all my information on bankroll management. The Rio buffet is average. It is average. It is consistently average. So if you want consistently average food, Rio Buffet is a very good option. Let's see. I end up going to the Rio Buffet every once in a while. My parents like the buffet, and I go there with them every once in a while. It's nice and easy. It's an easy option, right? It's not like a great option, but it's an easy option. Let's see. You just put $50 online. What should you do now with it? I don't know. Play whatever game you think is that you're the best at. With $50, you can play tiny stakes games, right? Definitely take it slow. Realize you're playing to get experience. And I don't know what games you want to play. I mean, cash games and sit and goes are great to have low variance at the beginning. So definitely consider those. Roma Cafe near the Rio, owned by Todd Brunson. Awesome. Food is good as well. I'll definitely check that out this year. I've never been. Someone's saying go to the Bacchanal Buffet. I don't know if you can make it to the Bacchanal Buffet in a 1-hour dinner break, but maybe. Look, I mean, for all practical purposes, during the World Series, the food options in Vegas better be either very convenient to the Rio, or whatever casino you're playing at, or amazingly good, so it's worth it to go there on your off days, right? And one of the two. Do they have keto options that I guess you're asking about All American Dave? I know they have like avocados and fish. You can just get avocados and fish. Their plates very often end up being a little bit of a starch, usually rice or sweet potato, like some kind of rice or quinoa or sweet potatoes. Then some vegetables like broccoli, asparagus, etc. Then some meat, like usually like some sort of burger, steak, or fish. What reference do I recommend for tournaments versus cash game differences? They're really not all that different. Just realize you have to understand that the stacks are very, very different, right? Very often. I mean, in tournaments, you're playing relatively shallow stacked a lot of the time, whereas in cash games, you're playing very, very deep, and that does change things. Did I see an actor giving away magic cards? I did not see an actor giving away magic cards. I am not up on social media, whatever. I'm an old man. Remco, who has a great podcast, posted something effective. What song would you walk into if you made the final table of the main event? But it has to be a 2019 song. I don't know any 2019 songs. I don't know any 2017 songs or 2012 songs. That's A-okay. What videos do I recommend to help you improve from min cashing to trying to actually win the tournament? All of them that I make. I'm never advocating sitting there and being nitty trying to cash unless you're, of course, very, very shallow stacked. Go to pokercoaching.com. We have tons of content there, and all of those are geared towards generally winning the tournament. Do we have any PLO recommendations, courses, etc.? I know the stuff by Johnny Beauprez is very good. I know the stuff by Jay Nandez is very good. I personally don't have anything, but we may partner with some people in the future, so be careful. Or be patient. PP for Life says you're enjoying the World Series bundle. Great. You put $50 in online in January. Now you are at $300. Now you're at $600. Any specific reason why 25 cent, 50 cent seemed easier than the smaller stakes? Probably because rake is effectively lower. Eat at a table or take it away from the table. I typically just eat it at the table. I don't have a whole lot of time on my breaks. If you have a lot of time on your breaks, that's probably ideal. Is it better to set a time limit on a cash session? I used to always play roughly 12 hours a day. You can do whatever you want. Just play until you're done, whatever that means. Any advice for being a talented but unknown player? Listen, if you are talented, you will inevitably have fantastic success. Very few people are actually talented at poker, in my opinion. Very, very few. However, those who are, they quickly rise to the top. They do not need a backer. They often don't even need to study all that much. They work very, very hard away from the table, or their strategy is naturally good. So if you're saying any help on finding a backer if you are talented, well, you will not need a backer if you're talented. And if you do need a backer, it implies either you have horrible life leaks or you're not that talented. That is the truth of it. A lot of people think they're talented. I'm certainly not talented. I want to make that very clear. Almost all of my friends who have won millions of dollars at poker are not talented. They know how to study hard and work hard, and that gives you a significant amount of skill long term. Let's see. Can we collaborate with Bart Hanson for poker coaching quizzes? Good idea. Let me write that down. I will consider it. Always happy to work with people. Any advice to win the Big 50? Just play great. Early strategy. Most people are probably going to be a little bit too tight, I think. I could be wrong about that, though. Depends on how many bullets they're going to be in for, right? Any info on the World Series breakfast? We emailed all poker coaching members about that. So check that out. I'll be at the Aria. Yes, I'll be at the Aria during the beginning of the World Series. I will be playing, there's a 10K Turbo bounty, I think, and a 5K regular at the World Series of Poker right at the beginning. So I think those are likely going on during the Big 50, so I'll be there during that time. Can I recommend a Filipino restaurant? I cannot. Maybe someone in the chat can, though. You're planning on playing 3 World Series tournaments. What 3 would I recommend? Best value, softer fields, etc. Typically, as the field gets bigger, the event gets softer. Variance goes through the roof, but if you're fine losing the 3 buy-ins, because that's what's going to happen most of the time, then you should probably play stuff like the Monster Stack or the Millionaire Maker or the Big 50, stuff like that. You should definitely be playing the $1,500 events or the $1,000 events, whatever they are, the smallest buy-in ones, because those are going to be by far the softest and likely provide the best value. The rake in all the games is roughly the same. So I definitely do not recommend any sort of 5Ks, and I definitely do recommend the other events. There's a marathon tournament, which might be quite good as well, if you don't mind sitting there all day grinding it out. But in general, I would recommend the smaller buy-in tournaments that have some sort of gimmick attached to them, like Millionaire Maker, for example. You remember and didn't receive an email. If you did not receive an email about the breakfast at the World Series and you are a member of Poker Coaching, send us an email. For some reason, you may not be getting emails from us, and that would not be nice. That would not be good. The Matrix might be a good movie to watch for poker. I love The Matrix. That's a fantastic movie. In tournaments, when do you think limping is the right move? When you are shallow stacked on the button, maybe the cutoff. Basically, if you have something like 20 to 40 big blinds in button or cutoff, and the players you have to act are very aggressive, if you limp and they raise like 4 or 5 big blinds, you can then call in position, which is fine. Whereas if you raise, they can just rip it in on you, and then you have to fold out a lot of stuff. So that's the main time you want to be limping. You probably don't want to do much limping from the earlier positions, because that then allows the later position players to come along very cheaply. In general, from a game theory optimal point of view, with 25 to 40 big blinds, the only spot the solvers will recommend limping from is specifically the button. But you do see some players limping from other positions, usually with the absolute best hands, and then with hands that are not quite good enough to raise and then call off, like King 8 suited, Queen 10 suited, stuff like that. All right, let's see. Jonathan said, pertaining to min cashing and going deeper, stay aggressive and don't shy away from thin value calls, and don't be afraid to go broke. And it helped you a ton. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're beating 50 cent no limit online for 5 big blinds per 100. How much can you beat? How much can you beat 2-5 no limit for? I don't know. Have you tried it? They're different games. I would probably say for something like 8 big blinds per hour, give or take. But depends on how well you transfer to live poker, right? A lot of people in online poker who transfer to live have huge amounts of tells, or they have just generally holes in their game when they come to playing against very, very bad players, and you definitely need to be aware of that. When are we doing the breakfast? I don't know the date off the top of my head. I'm doing one at the beginning of the series, I think the 28th, and one at the end of the series, I think July 5th. So May 28th, July 5th. And if you're a Poker Coaching member, you should get an email. If you did not get an email, well, you missed it. Tom Dwan springs to mind as natural talent. Yeah, I completely agree. But yes, this is going to sound a little bit harsh, but a lot of people think they're good at many things, poker in particular, without actually having any sort of results to prove it. They think, oh, I'm naturally talented because I can beat my friends. I mean, no, that just means your friends are terrible. And almost everyone's terrible because they haven't studied poker, right? I used to think I was pretty good at poker because I could beat all my friends no problem. Then I realized, oh, they're all terrible. So I'm just better than the terrible players. And it's important to realize that, right? How do you stay present? It's a hard thing. I think meditation away from the table would be very beneficial. I think just generally trying to be present in your day-to-day life, actively trying to put people on ranges and sitting there and thinking and being cognizant of what's going on and not being distracted. It's really easy to be distracted by your phone, by sports, by people talking, whatever. And I think you definitely need to make a point to do your best to absolutely focus. Let's see. You find Hold'em gets boring after a few days, but you keep excitement if you play Draw or Omaha. Do you feel the same? No, I don't really get bored. I am definitely someone who it's pretty easy for me to stay focused because I realize what I'm doing is by far the most important thing in the world, and I'm not playing for excitement, right? A lot of people do play for excitement. It's their entertainment. It's their recreational time, right? And they really, really, really want to be entertained. They want to have swings. They want to feel the excitement. Like, I don't want to feel any excitement because excitement will make you not think clearly. So I don't have that issue because I'm not playing to get a rush. How many tables do you recommend online? I would say 6+. How can some players play 16+ and be able to remember it? The most I've ever played is 24 at a time consistently for a year. But whenever I was doing the best, I think I was playing roughly 16 at a time. And it's not hard. You just get a heads-up display. And how do you follow the action? You're only playing 3 or 4 hands at a time. It's more of a matter of practice and experience. But really, what do you do? I'll tell you how I did it. I used to play one table, $100 buy-in games, $200 buy-in games. Then what I would do is I would move down and play $5 buy-in games. Essentially no money. And I would then play 4 of them at a time. Do that for 2 or 3 days. You get used to playing 4. Then you go back and you play 3 $200 games. It's easy. Then you move up and you play 6 games, then 8 games, then 12 games, then 16 games, etc. Till eventually, that just becomes easy. The times I played 24 tables, it wasn't playing my regular stakes. It was playing small stakes to try to ensure that playing 16 at a time was very easy. So that's really the purpose of that, is to ensure you have a lot of experience in very, very hectic scenarios so that then the slightly hectic scenarios just aren't a big deal. Alfonso says, thanks for all I do. My videos are excellent. Well, thank you. I do my best. I hope you all enjoy them. If you do, click like, click subscribe, click share, whatever buttons there are. Click the buttons, share with your friends, and that would be very beneficial for me. Cascade or tiles? I would always cascade. Tiles, you have to move your mouse too much, at least in my opinion. Now, though, this was before they had any of the helping programs. Now there's, I don't even know what they're called, Table Ninja or something like this. It allows you to autofocus on the exact right screen, whichever one's the most relevant one, without having to move your mouse, and it moves your mouse for you. They didn't have all that back in the day. I did it a long time ago on a laptop, and I had no problem. Used to be bored, then you realize winning sessions are way more exciting than adrenaline. Yeah, I'd rather win. But yeah, in general, I would try to make a point to ensure that you are actually improving your skills as opposed to just grinding out tiny bits of money. The times you want to be grinding out tiny bits of money is when you are not going to improve your skills much more. Like, for example, I was already very good at sit and goes, and I did not see myself improving much more. I already had mastered all the tools that were available. Of course, I was not playing anywhere near optimally. I was playing optimally based on the information I had, but I wasn't going to improve much more, so then it just becomes a matter of, all right, how much money can I extract from this game as fast as I can? You think there are stack sizes that are optimal to play versus the general population? It depends on your skill, right? Some stacks are certainly easier to play. Like 70 big blind stacks, 80 big blind stacks are very easy to play because you just get top pair queens and you blast it all in pre-flop. As you get deeper and deeper, what ends up happening is you're going to have more and more difficult decisions, so they require you to play better poker. What's my favorite resource for live tells? I like the stuff by Zach Elwood. If you check out my book, Excelling at No Limit Hold'em, we have a chapter in there by Zach Elwood. Also, we have some videos available at hold'embook.com. There are some videos by Zach Elwood discussing the most important live tells. Am I going to play scoop tournaments? Absolutely not. We are in America. I have 2 babies. I'm not going to travel out of the country to play scoop tournaments that I don't even think are all that high value. No, the high roller ones are not, right? The smaller ones, I'm sure, are very valuable. But even then, if you make like $500 a day, it's not worth it for me at this point in life, especially given the World Series is coming right up. Who are my top 5 most talented players? That's a difficult thing to know because, as an observer, you don't know what work someone has done off of the table. I will tell you all, there's a player who I used to think this must be some sort of savant. But turns out he was actually studying in like the premier poker group. Like if I could be in a group 10 years ago, that's the group I wanted to be in. And this guy was in that group. And instead of thinking this guy may just be like a savant or maybe even a lucky fish, because he was doing some really weird aggressive stuff, I realized, all right, this guy probably actually does know what he's doing. And it turns out he just studies all the time. And he knows all of these corner cases where he can get away with making abnormal plays. So anyway, I don't know who studies and who doesn't study unless I know them personally, and I don't know everyone personally. Is there a trait in a student I look for? I look for motivated people who want to study. And that's it. I look for motivated people who want to study. I'll tell you, a good example of this is Blas, who won that $1.3 million recently. He loves studying. He loves working hard. He loves playing a lot. He's motivated. He has his life together. He doesn't seem to have any abhorrent leaks. Like, that's the person I want. Someone who is not afraid to put in time, not afraid to put in volume. When they have a big score, they don't blow it at all. Instead, he pays off whatever debt he has and then buys an apartment, right? And then has like $300K set aside for poker. That is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a good, disciplined person. Miguel, if you want to go to the breakfast, send us an email. Can you do more quizzes on sit and goes? Probably not. In my opinion, sit and goes are not a great way to make tons of money. They're a great way to win a little bit of money, but not a great way to make a ton of money, and I have not played them in years. Let's see. Scoop is in New Jersey. They're likely way too small to justify traveling, and I'm not traveling anyway. You say it's close, and you can bring the wife and kids. I mean, my wife works. My kids, well, they like sleeping in their bed. If I was going to do that, I would get up and I would go myself. I could just take a train over to Starbucks or something. But we're not doing that. It's just not worth it. I think a lot of people don't realize I don't play poker because I need to play poker, right? I play poker because I want to play poker, and right now I'm very busy. I have tons of stuff to do. And I want to be doing my work so that I can focus on the World Series, not go travel and play a $200 buy-in tournament. Just doesn't make sense. Which is better, playing the Millionaire Maker or 4 of the deep stacks? Miguel, I would definitely say play neither of those. If you're willing to play $250 tournaments, go to the other casinos because the Rio rakes a ton on the daily deep stacks. So I would definitely tell you to instead go to somewhere like Planet Hollywood, maybe Caesars, maybe Aria, something like that. Look for a place that doesn't rake 25% or whatever it is. Also, those tournaments will have better structures for the most part. They'll all be 2 or 3 day tournaments. So I would definitely recommend that over either of the other options. Millionaire Maker is going to be a good value tournament, but there's going to be tons of variance, right? If you have 4 or 5 or 6 shots, it's clearly way better. Let's see. Fred says, reading Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em suggested fold to you on the button range seems really wide. It's only 50% of hands. 50% of hands is not all that many. Is it possible to make money from sit and goes? Absolutely, and absolutely from spin and goes, especially in the small and medium stakes. Madstow said I'm going to be on his show. Did that happen? It did. We had a great conversation for about 2 hours the other night. He wanted to do it at 10 or 11 p.m. my time. I guess he forgets I have to wake up at 6 a.m. with baby. So I was a little bit tired during it, but it was okay. It was okay. It went great. I have a great memory of busting Mike Madstow in, I think, 4th or 5th place in a WPT, and then I won. All right, let's see. Denmark is expensive, or getting to the World Series is expensive. Do you have any recommendations for a family who has a difficulty convincing his wife that 2 or 3 weeks alone in Vegas is a good idea? Prove it to your wife with stats, with data. If you have data showing that you're definitively a winning player, that you will make X amount of dollars on average, not always, on average. Say you know you're going to go to Vegas and make $10,000, maybe it's worth it. Say you're going to go and you're going to make $500, maybe not worth it. Advice on improving tells. Go to hold'embook.com, find the videos by Zach Elwood, and those will be very beneficial. How much should you study? As much as you realistically can. A lot of people, look, there's no, like everyone always asks, like what's the right ratio? I mean, really, you want to study as much as you can if you're not winning at poker yet. If you're not winning a ton of money already, you should be spending a lot of time studying. If you are already very, very good, well then you probably don't need to study quite as much. Harris says, you used to study a little bit and didn't really improve. Now you're studying an hour each morning and it's been going great. Yeah, study more. If you're not having good results, study more. That's basically it. Let's see. What's the best way to prepare before scoops? Study a lot. Realize that the big tournaments are not a time to be experimenting, not a time to be doing fancy stuff. You need to have already studied. You need to already understand how to play poker well. I mean, I think they start today or yesterday or something like that. So you may already messed up, but you need to study ahead of time, and you need to make sure you're very good. And that's why I made PokerCoaching.com and the homework challenges. I think that is a great way to get fundamentally sound in a lot of very common spots before the series. Before the series, though, make sure you're off of any substances, in my opinion. That way, if you do need them, they become very useful. Like, for example, the week before the World Series, for me, no coffee, no alcohol. For sure. Getting in the gym every day, right? I've been to the gym, well, Monday and Tuesday. I told you all I would. I've been in there Monday and Tuesday. We'll go again today and tomorrow and the next day. So all the way up until the World Series, we'll do 5 days a week of gym. Not super hard gym, but like get back in shape gym. And you want to make sure that you are physically fit, because during the scoop times, during the World Series times, some of that stuff may lack a little bit. You may need some coffee every once in a while and make sure it's very potent, right? You may not get in the gym for 4 days just because of the way the timing works out, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you are very well prepared mentally and physically. Let's see. Should you care about your opponent's tendencies, etc.? Yes, of course you should. You should be figuring out what your opponents do wrong and then maximally exploiting them. How am I? You haven't tuned in a while. I'm good. I'm pretty much always great. Life is great. I do what I love, and I help all of you. Is Amy going to the World Series? No. My wife has a job, and I'm certainly not going to Vegas with 2 kids. Who holds the money when you make a last logger bet? Ideally, you. Or do you just trust that your opponent will be honest and pay? Somebody needs to hold it. If they'll let you just put it on the table underneath the rail, you do that. Ideally, there's some pro there who is kind of well-respected. That person holds it. Someone who's well-respected holds it, ideally. And ideally you. Because if you know you're not going to rob anybody, then that's good. Keep it on the rail, whatever. Just make sure it's very clear who has it. For practice on putting people on ranges, you thought about watching my live streams. You think there's a better way to do it? I mean, even just like going through the quizzes at PokerCoaching.com, you can put the opponents on ranges, right? Certainly, though, whenever you're watching live poker, you can always just put it on mute, cover up the whole cards, and do that. Really, though, you just want to ask, how would a reasonable player play in this scenario, and then adjust accordingly. Hey, you want to talk about something?
Okay.
It's okay, leave it open. What's up?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Does anyone want to ask James anything?
Yeah.
No. Okay, what's your name?
Shark.
Oh, you see Baby Shark? You want to sing your favorite song? 3 little monkeys jumping on the bed. Sing it. One fell off and bumped his head. All right. Are you shy now? Are you shy? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Look, we're in the middle of an Ask Me Anything. I'm way behind. We have like 100 questions to answer. We are probably not going to get to all of them, but that's okay. You think there's money to be made in short deck cash games? Sure. What's the best player? How much is the biggest winner in 2-5 no limit? Probably, I don't know, $70 an hour. Let's see. If you feel bored, you don't play optimally. Excitement doesn't mean you're chasing swings. I mean, listen. I think pretty much any excitement is probably bad for you. When people say they like listen to Eye of the Tiger and get pumped up before a tournament, I think, why? I want to be like as chill as I can be so I can think very, very clearly. Let's see. There's no one watching this on Twitch. Yeah, they're all on YouTube. How do players draw up their schedules for major tournaments? I just figure out all of the big buy-in tournaments and put them on the schedule. If they overlap, it's okay. You don't play every tournament, right? You see James over there?
Yes.
Yes. So really, I just look at every high. Hey, shh. Are you a dinosaur? Yes. I look at all the high buy-in tournaments, put them on the calendar, and that's it. Make a spreadsheet, and if you're available to play, you play. All right, let's see. Makel says, you took 18th out of a 2,000 person at Hard Rock. Nice job. Congrats. When's the next moneymaker effect on poker? That's not going to happen again. Unless, like, the country legalizes it, which probably will never happen. Hey. What are you doing? Can you stand up? Oh, look, what's it? That's James's belly. That's James's belly. It's like, no, don't show my belly to everyone in the world. You think poker is much harder now for people who are prepared to do the work. We consider the trade-off that there is more and better material. I mean, poker always gets more difficult, but at the same time, you have way more resources. So if you want to get good now, you can get good very, very, very fast. As opposed to back in the day, it took a long time to get good. Fortunately, back then, people weren't as good, so it made it easier to just be, like, marginal. I actually kind of think that almost everyone who is a super high-stakes pro today, was good. Better than everybody else back in the day, but certainly very marginal compared to today. One of the biggest benefits they had, though, was a big bankroll that gave them plenty of time to survive and learn. Heads up, final table. How differently do you use the push-fold strategy? 10 big blinds or less, I'm just jamming or folding for the most part. That said, limping is a lot better. Limping's a lot better than because you're going to be in position, right? If people knew how hard I worked to get mastery, it wouldn't seem so wonderful at all. That is what Michelangelo says, and it is true. We all work hard. Do I think the World Series events provide better structure? Not really. You have to understand, all these events, if they end in 4 days, it's the same structure. When people give more chips, they make the blind shorter, right? They give more chips in the World Series events now, but the levels are shorter. It's like, thanks, right? So anyway, that's it. All right, hey, I need you to go. I think Dalma's calling you. Can you go?
No.
I can't talk with you growling like a tiger. Shh. Oh, time to go. Give me a kiss. Give me a bye-bye kiss. Tell everyone bye.
Bye-bye.
Tell everyone bye. Wave bye-bye. Do you hear anything? There's nothing to hear. All right, let go. I need you to go. Can you say bye-bye? Have a good day?
No.
Can you say good? Can you say good luck?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Go get your socks. Bye. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I love you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye. You're a good friend. Go on, buddy. Go on, buddy. James just loves me. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Stop. 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 You gotta go. You have to go. All right. Should you ever show your cards with no callers? I personally don't. Do I know any pot limit Omaha live grinders? I know of them. I don't know them personally. What are their experience with playing high variance? I mean, it's a high variance game. You're gonna have lots of winning sessions, lots of losing sessions. It is what it is. Recreated Cinco is a great way to get final table and shorthanded experience. Absolutely. I definitely think so. I should have way more viewers. Let's talk about the idea of should. I am a very big proponent of the idea that you do not deserve anything. If you get anything, you probably didn't even deserve that. Sure, maybe you worked hard, but the idea of entitlement is not something I am a very big fan of. A lot of people think they deserve something. For example, people say, how do I get poker backing? You certainly don't deserve poker backing if you're wondering, how do I get poker backing? Get good results, then maybe you can get the backing. But you very often do get what you deserve, but especially in high variance things, you probably will not. For example, on Twitch right now, these are not optimal Twitch streaming hours. I'll just tell everyone that. But I don't know, there's like 150 people here, give or take. Some. It's not a ton, but that's okay. We know we're going to get thousands of viewers on YouTube throughout the day, and that's A-okay. But anyway, I'm not a big fan of the idea of we deserve anything. Anytime I hear deserve, I'm like, Mike Mazza has some great stories. Yeah, he actually said the word deserve in his interview with me the other day, and I don't know if I corrected him or not, or gave my idea. I don't think I did. He's got some great stories, yes. Has he ever blown up at you? Yeah, whenever I busted him. Whenever I busted him in fourth or fifth place at the Foxwoods tournament, he berated me a little bit. He's like, yeah, but I berate everybody, and I know you can take it. And that's true. Phil Hellmuth berated me a few times, Mike Mattisau's berated me a few times, and I'm friends with all of them. That's just how they operate. Should we focus on GTO play? You should focus on playing fundamentally sound and then adjust to whatever your opponents do wrong. What about, they keep calling my pocket aces with suited connectors. You deserve to win that pot. Like, no, you don't. You set yourself up for disappointment with that thought process. Absolutely. No coffee? We have coffee. No coffee all the time. Don't drink coffee all the time. It's very important to have stimulants available at your resources and actually have them to be potent. If you wake up and have coffee every day, like we do sometimes, it loses its potency. As far as I know, something like a week off of coffee will make it equally potent as if you have none of it. Alcohol is a similar thing. So get off of it for a while and then get back on it. It'll be way more useful to you. Am I playing the Big 50? Nope. I think there's a 10K going on at the same time. You're a very visual learner. What do I suggest? Go to pokercoaching.com. You need to go to pokercoaching.com. Go through all the homework challenges. It is all visual. Cashed in the last 3 tournaments and won one. Good job. Good work. Did I play the tournament at the ARIA yet? The ARIA World Poker Tour is, I think, the 27th of this month. And then there's a World Poker Tour Tournament of Champions a few days later. So I'll be playing those at ARIA. I can get enough volume playing live. It's hard. You got to play a lot of live poker. Just play a lot, right? If you play 12 hours a day every day, you will get through the variance no problem. When I used to play 5-10 no limit, Bellagio every day, very consistently I won between something like 10 and 30,000 each month. Like clockwork. That's it. Let's see. Everyone's seeing Mr. James now. Sorry for being so behind. Best online poker site. JonathanLowellPoker.com/USA. All right. Have I ever found myself explaining and comparing life events to poker situations? Sure. All the time. Especially when people say, oh, poker's gambling. And then they don't realize walking across the street is gambling as well. Sometimes you die, sometimes you don't. Right? But yes, poker and gambling, or poker and life and gambling, everything goes hand in hand. Everything you do has a cost and a risk. And if you can assess those better than your opponents, it's going to work out way better for you than for others. Welcome to everyone who is here. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We're having an Ask Me Anything because I was too preoccupied to prepare any discussion this morning. If you all have ideas for a little coffee, by the way, send them in. I'm always happy to discuss them. You have a question. Is it ever wrong to fold ace-king pre-flop for all your chips? No, you can certainly fold sometimes. Especially in bubble scenarios, you should be looking to fold. Say you raise under the gun, it goes 3-bet, 4-bet, you should fold. Say you raise under the gun, someone raises earlier middle position, you 3-bet, then a tight player 4-bets, you should fold. Right? So there's certainly times to fold the ace-king. Especially in a tournament, right? Not often, but sometimes. What happened when I was a full tilt pro? I got banned for sharing my account with someone else. Horrible mistake. Don't do anything shady in the least bit. If you do something shady, you will get punished. Back then, unfortunately, I didn't realize it was that shady. I mean, I knew it was shady, but I didn't realize it was bad because lots of people were doing it. But they decided to ban me. And they took $250,000 out of my account, and rightfully so, right? I apologized publicly to them and the poker world. They forgave me. They let me play on Full Tilt again. And I had my biggest online score ever shortly after that. So that was lucky. But anyway, don't do anything shady in the least bit. But yes, you don't do anything out of line. If you do anything out of line that is against the rules, understand you could get punished. It's kind of like speeding, right? If you speed on the interstates, you're cheating. You're breaking the law, right? And if you get pulled over, you should not feel wronged because everybody else was speeding too and they decided to pull you over. You understand, I broke the rules, I deserve this punishment. Talk about deserving. If you break the rules, you deserve punishment. And I broke the rules and I got punished. And now I realize, don't break the rules. Let's see, how do you know you're making the correct EV decisions? Paper and pencil, you say you use Cardbinder's EV, Flopzilla, etc., etc. Yeah, all that is good stuff. The focus on tournaments for rebuys, no. I don't really care, I just play everything. Would you suggest that amateurs play these tournaments? Sure, doesn't make much of a difference. Have I heard about Bart Hansen's Chinese poker app? I have not, I do not play Chinese poker. Is there a correlation between money cashed and the total bankroll. I don't really know what you're asking, Keith. Your bankroll is based on how much variance you expect to have, your expected win rate, and your tolerance for risk of ruin. Let's see. You play on an untracked site. Should you play some Zoom on the side on another site for that reason? Because so you can study. Yeah, certainly a decent idea. I definitely think that is a fine thing to do. How do you deal with crazy loose tables? Just play good cards. Play better cards than your opponents. Madisel uses the term vindication a lot. He absolutely does. Vindication. How much poker comes into having enough money to continue buying in and getting lucky? None of it. None of it. Respond to Jeff Boski. This is a guy who essentially put out a video full of very, very bad misinformation. And obviously I'm not going to spend my time correcting a random person who has lots of bad misinformation. And look, I try to not ruin my fans. So many people on the internet do not mind selling you out. Because, in their mind, you are a resource to be mined. And it's unfortunate that's the case. And you have to understand that everyone is not looking out for your best interest. Anyone who tells you to put your money on a site that is not fully licensed and backed by the United States government, assuming you're an American, is giving you information that could get you in trouble. So, if you're happy with that, if you're happy with your money being locked up for a few years or just getting it taken, like has happened in the past with many sites that have operated within America, feel free to gamble. And that's what I said in my video, right? There's nothing wrong with taking the gamble if you don't mind. There's certainly ways to protect yourself, like don't keep lots of money in the sites. But there's no reason to respond to someone who is clearly disgruntled. All right, is Boston Rob a good poker player? He is. Would I ever be a contestant on Survivor? Absolutely. Levan, welcome. After winning or running deep in a tournament, do you recommend to play more tournaments because it's possible you're on a heater? I don't really like the idea of a heater. I mean, obviously you may be making better decisions. You may be more focused. I really don't think the idea of I am running hot, therefore I should play more matters all that much. There certainly is some merit in the idea that maybe your opponents are aware that you've been crushing it, therefore they may be a little bit more afraid. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think you should just continue doing your normal thing. Let's see. You think Jeff took offense to being called a mid-tier pro? I mean, I'm a mid-tier pro. Who are the top-tier pros? They're like the people crushing the super high stakes online. I mean, if anything, he's probably a low-tier pro, right? If you're not crushing the highest buy-in tournaments online or live, you're not a top-tier pro. I'm not one of the best in the world. I recognize this. And if you take offense to that, I mean, you're a little bit immature. That said, some people are immature, right? You have to understand, whenever you say anything out there, for example, when I say don't play on some of these sites that are live to take your money, people who represent those sites, they're going to take offense because they recognize they are actively promoting these things that could ruin their people eventually. And I don't mind fighting people who are trying to ruin all of you, okay? That's what it amounts to. If someone's trying to ruin good people in the poker world, I don't have a problem giving you good, accurate information. Let's see. What is the key to being successful at poker? Study, work, and discipline. Ask me any things are great. You should consider doing one each week. Are these great? I don't know. Certainly easier to just wake up and read some answers. Can you talk about selling action? I don't know. What are you asking? Ask me a more specific question. Let's see. Can you make a quick structure about studying micro tournaments? Really, study pokercoaching.com homework challenges. Do that. Start at the beginning, work your way forward, and that will be that. I think we got caught up. That's unbelievable. Any new positive news on apparel? Positive news on apparel. We have the poker coaching patches right back here. If you're a poker coaching member, you can get the patches. That way you can put them on your own clothes. I don't have to worry about making you clothes. And you can just put those on any clothes that you would like. All active vloggers are mid-tier pros. I don't think Dale Negreanu's a mid-tier pro. He's definitely a top-tier pro. I mean, again, like, what does tier mean? The tier system is kind of silly. Like, are these people better and more popular than 99% of poker players? Yes, it depends on who you're comparing them to, right? If I'm comparing to the top 20 poker players in the world, none of us are top tier pros, right? Only 20 people are. So people who take offense to stuff like this, I mean, sorry, grow thick skin. Poker's not really a game for those without thick skin. You think I'm great? Well, I try to be great. I do my best. All you can do is do your best. I will tell you though, I think the secret to success is to better the lives of many, many, many people at the same time, right? I used to do a lot of private coaching, and I've cut back on that significantly because that only helps one person at a time. I want to help all of you at a time, right? When I make this video, thousands of people are going to see it, and that's good, right? That means that we are helping more than one person at a time. I mean, imagine you all are in an auditorium listening to me talk. Think about it like that, right? I'm talking to a camera, but there's really 1,000 people out there, which is insane to think about. Glad to see Brad Owen coming on board. Yeah, Brad Owen's going to be doing some guest quizzes for our PokerCoaching.com, and I'm excited about him. So far, he's turned in a few. They've been great. He's doing a giveaway right now, so check that out. And yeah, it's great. Where can you get a patch? Email support@pokercoaching.com. Can I talk about buying action? Oh, well, come on, program. Can you talk about buying action and where and what are good percentages to buy in first time wanting to get some pieces for the World Series tournaments? I don't pay much markup. I'm a big fan of relatively low markup because that just ensures I'm getting at least a reasonable deal, right? If you pay high markup, you may or may not be getting a good deal. Essentially, I think most people who need to sell action probably have something like 20, 30, 40% ROI in tournaments if they're decent and have decent results. So if you're paying 1.3 on someone who has 30% ROI, you're losing the rake, right? So you don't want to do that. So I try to buy anyone who is not obviously a very, very good player with a lot of results. I try to buy them at something like 1.1 or 1.05 or something like that. Even if they're good. Like I know a few good players who they want a bracelet every other year and no limit events. They're great. And they're trying to sell at 1.5 and I don't buy it. Just because they've probably been running hot. So anyway, I don't like markup at all. Not because I'm against markup. I just don't think it's a good value, right? As an investor, I want to be making sure I'm a good value. I have no problem with people selling at high markup. You're allowed to sell at whatever you want. No one has to buy it. So anyway, I try to buy at low markup. I also try to buy from people who have a good track record. I also try to buy from people who don't have leaks, or at least obvious ones, right? I remember one year I actually bought something like 70 packages worth of people. A lot. I had something like 300K invested. And 4 or 5 of them, I'd see them posting on Twitter at like 3 a.m. that they're out clubbing the day before a tournament. I'm like, ugh, that's not good. So do a little bit of diligence, right? Make sure you're buying smart, good people who actually are going to take it very seriously. I definitely like individual pieces, by the way, more so than packages, because a lot of people are not built, or not necessarily built, built's the wrong word. A lot of people are not, they don't have the right mindset to play a long series and play it well all the time. Some people are, like, I feel like I'm very, very good at this. I know a few people off the top of my head who I would buy all the time if they had a low enough markup, because they are always going to show up and play their absolute best. What percentage is skill and luck? It doesn't matter. Look at long-term return on investments and you tell me. Do I still offer one-on-one coaching? Only if I feel like it, and $500 an hour. You ever get caught up in a leveling war? Not anymore. I just try to play good, fundamentally sound poker. Your heads up in position. If you know that your opponent will have a very wide calling range on the flop and folds to a lot of turn bets, can you bet your whole range in a profitable way? Sure. If they have a big leak where they drastically overfold at any point, just bet the flop and bet the turn and you'll crush it. All right, what was my favorite comic books? I didn't really read comic books as a kid. I played Magic the Gathering. So you're playing the $5,000 tournament on June 3rd at 6 p.m. Correct. I will be there. The 6 p.m.? That sounds really late. I think it's 3 p.m. Whatever, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to be in that one. Almost certainly. Any opinion on the markup drama Deeb is starting? I don't know what Deeb has even said, but like I said, I don't have a problem with people saying I think your markup is too high, but I would not do that publicly. Like, why do that? It just kind of makes you a jerk. To be fair, I think Sean Deeb knows he's a jerk, right? He's very, very abrasive. He has no problem being rude to people, no problem berating people, etc., etc. That's just how some people operate. And once you know someone operates like that, don't give them attention, right? In my mind, take myself, for example, because I really don't know how a lot of people operate. But if someone like myself all of a sudden comes out saying something is very, very bad, when I don't really say a whole lot is very, very bad, it should have way more weight than someone who says everything's bad and berates people all the time, right? If I say someone's out of line, they are almost certainly out of line, right? Take any other person who doesn't say a whole lot unless they actually know what they're talking about. That's something a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people on the internet who do talking, they're talking just to try to talk, get an audience so they can sell you out. I'm talking because I know what I'm talking about, and I'm talking because I've studied and I have more experience than most of the people I am helping, right? I'm here to help all of you, and that is my purpose. Other people's purpose, though, is not that. And you can tell by the content, you can tell by their words, you can tell by their mannerisms, and it's important to recognize that. Would you buy Daniel Negreanu at zero markup? Yes, I already told him. Sell me maximum, please. That's a good example of someone I would buy. Daniel Negreanu is obviously very good. I would buy at that. Mike Mattis, I was saying he's going to sell it on Pot Limit Omaha, or Omaha 8 or better events for 1.5 markup. I would take that too. He's one of the best in the world at that. 7-card stud events, who's saying 1.4, I would take that too. So that's a good example where I would pay high markup because of a beautiful track record. Like final tables every year. And that's a good thing to do. Whenever they have a very, very high return on investment, it's fine, right? But that's because we have a good track record, right? And I know he can show up and play well. How important is to learn combinatorics? Very. Does it actually make a difference? Yes. What are my thoughts on a cat-rific situation? I think this is referring to the person acting as if they didn't know what tournament they were in. I think that's obviously very shady, and you'll get in a whole lot of trouble. Can I explain how markup works? Okay, let's say I'm playing a tournament with no rake, $10,000 buy-in, and I want to sell you 10%, okay? Say I want to charge a little bit of markup because I think I have an edge. Maybe I would sell it at 1.1. That means for 10%, you have to pay me $1,000 plus 10%, so $1,100. And then I would essentially keep the $100. You can do some math. If we sell 50%, I would get $5,500, and I'd still have 50% of myself, and I'd be putting in $4,500 total. So that's kind of how markup works. You can see how if you start selling at 1.5, right now you sell, let's say 60%, you have 40% of your action, and you only have to put in 10% of the money. That's what a lot of people try to do. They try to essentially get a free roll and stuff. Let's see. Deebs attacked Alan Kessler for charging at 1.05 and a 10K, which seems like a reasonable price. I mean, listen, if he thinks Alan Kessler is a minus 20% ROI player, then clearly it's not a good price. I think Alan Kessler is probably fine in these events. But to be fair, I would actually venture to say Sean Deeb probably knows accurate ROIs better than most people because he's played tons and tons of tournaments. And I'm sure he's done some backing. So I'm sure he knows what he's talking about, right? But at the same time, just because someone's selling at a price he thinks is incorrect doesn't mean he should be berating them. Just selling at an incorrect price. Donald Barnes Hanson's poker play. I think he's great. How much more are you tightening up when you have aggression on your left? A decent amount. You want to be able to fight back whenever people are going to be aggressive, especially if you expect them to be aggressive. Is Phil Ivey still a great player? I'm sure he's not just going to all of a sudden get worse. Let's see. Can you do a video on common ways to identify players you can 3-bet profitably at lower stakes? If they raise too often and fold to the 3-bets too often, they are very, very profitable to 3-bet. If they raise a lot and then call the 3-bet a lot, but then check fold a lot, they're very profitable to 3-bet. Thanks for being generous to the community. The community's been generous to me, and I'm happy to give back as much as I possibly can. When you buy markup, you assume that is for the first bullet only? Yes, unless you buy multiple bullets. If you are buying multiple bullets, very often the second, third, fourth, fifth bullet should have a lower markup because you're buying in later, so your return on investment should be lower. Alex says, you trust what I say because I don't speak about things I haven't studied. I mean, it's true, right? I didn't do much talking for a very, very long time in my life. And that's because I didn't really know anything. Now, we know a decent amount. We understand poker better than almost everyone in the world. And I'm happy to help. What form of poker has the least amount of variance? Games like 7-card stud have relatively low variance. Games like limit hold'em have relatively low variance. I mean, you're gonna still have big swings, right? But they are relatively low variance. That's because you're just playing lots and lots of small pots. Let's see. You started playing what are we saying? You're down 30 buy-ins. You feel like you have an edge, but you're getting destroyed. Your win rate, you're still at 6 big blind win rates. Not exactly sure what you're saying. I think you're saying that you have a positive win rate despite losing a bunch of buy-ins. That doesn't make sense. If you're down a bunch of buy-ins, you should not have that. Am I playing a Mid-States Poker Tour tournament coming up? No. Let's see. All right, let's see. What are the most important things to study? Range analysis. Very important to understand range analysis. Negreanu is the person who sent me here. Awesome. He was telling his audience on Twitch that you have the most valuable content. Well, thank you. I do my best. You got 3 of my books, and now here you are. Good, good, good. That's exactly what we try to do. You have to understand, if you put out enough good work, people will find it over time. I mean, I actually have made a point to try to be everywhere on the internet. We have a podcast. We have This in the Morning. We're on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, right? We have books. We have a training site. We try to be everywhere, and we try to help people in whatever manner they want to be helped in, right? I think that's important. A lot of people only want to write books, and a lot of people don't read books. So we made audiobooks. Some people don't want audiobooks. They want a training site, right? So we made the training site. Some people just want videos. We made videos. Some people want interactive quizzes. We made that. Some people want one-on-one attention in the homework reviews. So we give one-on-one attention, right? You want to find what people want and then deliver it. And fortunately, you all have provided me enough support to where I can devote my life to it. Let's see. On aggression. You never seen Dale Negreanu tightened up so much when he had a bunch of lunatics on his left. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. What are the most important things to study? Yeah, how ranges interact. You want to understand how ranges interact. Which book do I recommend? There's one that almost all of you need to get. Is this one right here. It's my most recent book. It's my most recent book. I don't know if that's true. Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. You can get it at jonathanlittlepoker.com/mastering. It's full of range analysis. It teaches you how to think about ranges. Like this right here. If you've never looked at anything like this, you're behind. And you need to catch up. Once you read this, pokercoaching.com will give you tons and tons of practice with this. All right, I have to go now. I'm going to have a meeting with some mentors. It's going to be a lot of fun. Once every Wednesday, I go to a meeting, myself and a few small business owners, and a mentor who's been doing this for a long time, has turned around a lot of companies. I don't need to be turned around, but at the same time, I'm always happy to try to improve myself. So that's what I have today. Thanks for all the useful info. Well, thank you all for being here. What's my next book? My next book is going to be Excelling at Online No Limit Hold'em. It's going to be coming out next year. But we have Modern Poker Theory coming out, which I've done tons of work on. It's not my book. It's Michael Acevedo's book. It's a big project. It is going to be groundbreaking, and it's going to change the game, unfortunately, so buckle up. You better get caught up as soon as you possibly can. Fortunately, everything I wrote in this book applies. So this is how to do all the Modern Poker Theory without doing tons and tons and tons of in-depth math. I summarize it for you so that it becomes easy and implementable. But anyway, Modern Poker Theory is going to be, well, it is groundbreaking. I've already read it multiple times. So that'll be out during the World Series this year. And we also have the Mixed Game book by Dylan Lind coming out. It's a great guide on mixed games. It's basically 20-ish pages on, maybe 30 pages on a bunch of mixed games with some quizzes, and it's a lot of fun. It's a fun book. All right, that's going to be it for today. Thanks everyone for being here. We see a lot of regulars: Louis Philippe, Darren, Clint, Levan, Fizzy, everyone. Alex, Kevin. All of you are here all day, every day. All day, every day. At least for an hour every 3 days. And that's it. Good luck, have fun, enjoy yourselves. If you enjoyed this, click like, click subscribe, click share, retweet. Whatever buttons are available to you, mash them all. That will help other people find me. And as more people find me, well, we're going to stick around and do this forever. I fully plan on doing it forever anyway. Spoiler alert. But you might as well throw me a bone. All right, have a good day. I'll talk to you.